Badge that looks almost familiar, but then you realize is not quite that familiar, because this is the Landwind 5. JMC, Jiangling Motor Corporation, who in South Africa have been marketing bakkies for a number of years. This is the first SUV they've brought to South Africa. Medium-sized family SUV, very good spec, very good space. You can see standard mag wheels, and at the moment as a special includes the side step and tow bar at the rear. Comes standard as well with roof racks. Very nice sized vehicle, 4 doors of course over here. Coming around to, I mentioned of course the tow bar at the back, and you'll see a nice family sized boot as well. Manufacturer's figure, 855 litres of space in the boot area, and a full-size spare wheel underneath that board as well. You'll see over here when I put it down, the Landwind is powered by a 2-litre petrol turbo engine, putting out 140 kilowatts and 250 newton meters of torque, all through a 6-speed manual transmission. From the rear end, you've got those trapezoidal exhausts on both sides. They give it a pretty mean look and effect as well, and even come standard with rear park distance control with your beepers over here. Of course, what's more important is what life is like on the inside of the vehicle and behind the wheel. Driving the Landwind 5, well, it's a family SUV, as I said, so the 140 kilowatts makes it almost an anomaly because it's got so much power, yet as a family SUV, you sometimes wonder if you need it. Interesting, you have a look, steering wheel devoid of buttons, which is such an unusual thing in today's market. But do we need them? Good question. Can we live without them? Probably. Instrumentation, again, pretty simple, pretty basic. You have your speedo, you have your rev counter, temperature and fuel. How much more do you want as well in a family SUV? So, not a problem. You can see the steering's nice and light. The driving is generally quite light. My one little issue is with the gearbox, where especially when it's cold, it does tend to be a little bit heavy and a little bit clunky in operation, and that's maybe something that could be smoothed out. But you're going to forgive little foibles like that when you hear the price of this vehicle, because that's where it all actually comes down to. Center over here, you'll see old school. No touchscreen, so what? The console and the infotainment system, a little bit reminiscent of the previous generation Ford Fiesta maybe, and by modern standards a couple too many buttons. But again, so what? Down to your aircon system, very effective, works nicely, heating, warming, cooling, cold Gauteng mornings, high-fault mornings at the moment that we're living with, it worked nicely. I mentioned the 6-speed gear shift. Yeah, clunky, but otherwise fine, not a problem. Other than that, my only other real thing would be to comment on a very hard, shiny plastic over here on the door panels that kind of spoils the game a tiny bit, but so what? I've used that word a few times. You get standard cloth upholstery throughout, which is pretty comfortable, and I would hope will be hard wearing in the long term in this vehicle. So you've got everything you want, and you've got the space for the family. And when I say space for the family, give me a moment and I'll show you exactly what this is like in the back seat of this vehicle. In the back seat, this is family time and this is family space. The legroom in the back, that driver's seat is set for myself. The legroom, I can stretch my arms out full stretch and I'm not even sitting back in the back seat. That's how much legroom there is over here. Lots of headroom for me with my hat on. You've got, of course, the 60-40 split on the rear seats, and you have an adjustable backrest angle, so you can recline a bit more or bring it a bit more upright as you wish and as you choose. Or, of course, you can fold flat 60-40 and increase the load space quite drastically. Fuel economy, Landwind claim a figure of 8.5 litres per 100 kilometres. I can say that in a week of testing without a trip computer, I think I've come in that range as well. Very, very happy. Cruising at an indicated 120, very comfortable, very smooth. It gives you, of course, about the 2,500 revs at 120 or just under, thanks to that 6-speed manual gearbox. Now let's talk that all-important price. Because yes, this is a Chinese vehicle. We all know that. And a couple of the items on it are perhaps slightly older spec. But The normal price of the Landwind 5 was 289,880. Landwind right now have dropped that price to 249,880. I repeat, 249,880. Included in the price at this point, the side steps and the tow bar are included. And then on top of it all, you get a 5-year 100,000 kilometer warranty plus a 5-year 100,000 kilometer service plan thrown in. So let's round it off to 250,000 Rand for a medium-sized family SUV with excellent towing ability as well thrown in because of the 2-liter turbo engine at that price. There is no comparison or comparative on the South African market right now. So if your requirements run to the space, run to the engine requirements, run to the towing ability, and run to items like that, this is the vehicle you need to take a look at. For Motor Matters, I'm Alan R, and I'll see you next time.